history is long. Like, really long. So we're going to do something ambitious. We're going to take one of the world's oldest civilizations, Iran, and cover it 1 century at a time. 10 minutes per episode. Every episode, 100 years. No filler, no fluff, just the moments that actually shaped a nation. Episode 1. The year is 1500, and Iran, as a unified country, basically doesn't exist yet. It's a patchwork of kingdoms, tribes, and foreign rulers. Squeezed between empires, forgotten by the world. But not for long. Meet Ismail, son of a murdered father, imprisoned as a child, hunted by enemies who knew that if this kid grew up, he'd be trouble. They were right. Ismail I belonged to the Safavid family, a mystical Sufi order from northwestern Iran. His family had been building followers for generations. Not an army yet. More like a devoted fan base. Except instead of concert tickets, they were offering spiritual salvation. And instead of fans, they were warriors. These were the Qizilbash, Turkic tribesmen who believed, sincerely and completely, that Ismail wasn't just their leader. He was divine, a living saint, the shadow of God on earth. Now imagine fighting for someone you believe is literally blessed by God. You don't retreat, you don't negotiate, you charge. Between 1500 and 1510, this teenage king and his red-hatted warriors swept across the Iranian plateau like a wildfire, defeating the Ak-Koyunlu Confederation, taking Tabriz, unifying territory from eastern Anatolia to Khorasan. In less than a decade, Iran had gone from patchwork of chaos to unified empire, and Ismail was 14 when it started. Now here's where Ismail does something that will echo for 500 years. He makes a declaration. Iran is now officially a Shia Muslim state. Everyone converts. No debate, no referendum. Just, this is who we are now. Was this purely religious? Almost certainly not. Think about it politically. Iran is surrounded by Sunni powers. The Ottomans on the left, the Uzbeks on the right. By making Shi'ism the state religion, Ismail isn't just defining a faith. He's drawing a border, a cultural moat, an identity so distinct that his population wouldn't melt into the Ottoman Empire or defect to the Uzbeks. To be Iranian now meant something specific. It was, by any measure, one of the most strategically brilliant and historically consequential decisions in the history of the Middle East. The Sunni-Shia divide you read about in the news today, a big part of it hardens right here, in 1501, by a teenager. Everything was going well for Ismail until he met someone who didn't care about divine blessing. Ottoman Sultan Selim I, nicknamed Salem the Grim, was marching east with a very modern army and a very simple philosophy. Cannons win wars. Ismail was warned. His own advisors begged him, don't fight them in an open field. The Ottomans have artillery. They have firearms. Our cavalry can't charge through cannon fire. But Ismail, who had never lost a battle, believed his men's faith was stronger than Ottoman steel. It wasn't a battle. It was a lesson. The Qizilbash charged with everything they had, and the Ottoman cannons simply erased them, row after row. The bravery was real. The faith was real. But gunpowder doesn't negotiate with faith. Ismail lost. Badly. Chaldiran didn't destroy the Safavid Empire, but it humbled it, and it revealed something brutal. Iran had a technology gap. While the Ottomans and the Europeans were racing into the age of gunpowder, Iran was still perfecting the art of the cavalry charge. That gap would take generations to close. When Ismail died in 1524, his 10-year-old son Tahmasp inherited an empire that was exhausted, humiliated, and under pressure from two directions simultaneously. The Ottomans were pushing from the west, the Uzbeks were raiding from the east, and the Qizilbash chiefs, the very people who had built the empire, were now fighting each other for influence over the child king. Most rulers in this situation collapse. Tahmasp didn't. He was patient in a way that Ismail never was. He watched. He learned. He played the factions against each other until he actually had real power. It took him years, but he got there. Then the Ottomans came again, and again. Suleiman the Magnificent, arguably the most powerful ruler on the planet at the time, launched 4 major invasions of Iran during Tahmasp's reign. 4. And here's the remarkable thing. Tahmasp never fought him directly. Tahmasp's genius was the scorched earth strategy. When the Ottomans advanced, the Iranians didn't engage. They retreated. But before they left, they burned their own crops, emptied their own cities, destroyed their own supply depots. The Ottomans would march triumphantly into nothing. No food, no shelter, no enemy to fight, just empty land and a coming winter. It was maddening for the Ottomans. You can't defeat an enemy that won't stand and fight. You can't hold territory you can't supply. Suleiman took cities, including Tabriz, the Safavid capital, but he couldn't keep them. The cost of holding empty, hostile territory was too high. Every time, the Ottomans eventually withdrew. Every time, the Safavids moved back in. It wasn't glorious. There were no epic cavalry charges, no legendary duels, no inspiring last stands. It was grinding, painful, strategic endurance. Tahmasp's Iran survived not by being stronger, but by being smarter, by refusing to give its enemies the war they wanted. By the year 1600, something remarkable had happened. Iran, which barely existed as a unified state a century earlier, had not just survived. It had defined itself. A distinct religion, a distinct language, a distinct cultural identity that was neither Ottoman nor Central Asian. The Safavids had essentially built the concept of Iran as a state. The borders weren't perfect. The army wasn't the strongest. The economy had scars. But the idea of Iran as a place with a specific identity, a specific faith, a specific way of seeing itself, that idea was now real, and it was durable. 500 years later, it's still there. So what did the 1500s give Iran? An origin story, a founding myth, a set of borders, physical and cultural, that would shape everything that came after, and a lesson written in cannon smoke at Chaldiran that being brave is not the same as being prepared. Next episode, the 1600s. The empire has survived. It's been battered, humbled, and tested. It knows what it is, but it hasn't yet become what it could be. Because in the next century, someone is going to sit on that throne and transform Iran into something the world hadn't seen before. A patron of arts, a master of diplomacy, a builder of cities so beautiful that travelers would cross continents just to look at them. The greatest Shah in Iranian history is about to arrive, and he is going to rebuild everything. This has been 100 Years of Iran. I'll see you in the next century.